All right, this is Chapter 9, Lesson 1, Area of Parallelograms. So, a blank is a closed figure formed by 3 or more straight lines. In that blank, you're going to write polygon. So, a polygon is a closed figure formed by 3 or more straight sides. A blank is a quadrilateral with opposite sides parallel and opposite sides the same length. So you can see these opposite sides are parallel to each other. They never cross. Same with these. Okay? And they're the same length. Okay, in that blank, you're going to write parallelogram. So a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with opposite sides parallel and opposite sides the same length. Okay? So you remember parallel sides. A blank is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides. So this is a specific type of parallelogram. So if it has 4 equal sides, okay, it's called a rhombus. Now the difference between a rhombus and a square, because a square also is a parallelogram, and it also has 4 equal sides, a square meets at 90-degree angles. A rhombus does not. Okay, necessarily. So it can have 90-degree angles and still be technically considered a rhombus, but a square is a specific type of rhombus. All right, area of parallelograms. Okay, so if I'm finding the area of a parallelogram, it's very similar to finding the area of a rectangle. You multiply the base times the height. Okay, the blank of a parallelogram can be any one of its sides. In that blank, you're going to write base. The blank is the perpendicular distance from the base to the opposite side. In that blank, you're going to write height. Parallelograms include special quadrilaterals such as rhombi, which are the rhombuses, that's just the plural form, squares, and rectangles. Okay, so they're all parallelograms. You find them all the same way. You multiply one side by the other side. Okay? So looking at this diagram right here, I have a base of 12 and a height of 6. The thing with parallelograms is you can actually take that little extra on the end, this little triangle right here, which just gives me the height of 6, and I can move it to the other side and it forms a rectangle. Okay, that's what's special about parallelograms. That's why we can use the same formula we use for rectangles on parallelograms, because it actually does work. So if I have a base of 12 and a height of 6, 12 times 6 is going to give me my area. So it's 72. And remember, your units are squared. So in this case, my units are centimeters. So it would be centimeters squared. Okay, so centimeters with that little 2 up top. That's what that little 2 means, squared. Okay. All right, let's take a look at a couple of examples. So the first example I have is find the area of a parallelogram, and it's actually on a grid. They don't give me any numbers, but they put it on a grid. So what I can do is I can start and figure out my base and my height. Okay? So I'm going to start here for my base. I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I go 6 units across. Okay? So in order to figure out the height of my parallelogram, I can't just count along the diagonal. That doesn't work. Okay? So I have to find the height from the top to the bottom, all the way. Okay? So you want to pick the topmost point in your parallelogram and the bottom point and draw a straight line down, which is what they did with the little pink here. Okay? And then I can count from there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I went up by 8 units. Okay? So that means my base is 6 and my height is 8, so I multiply them together. 6 times 8 is 48. So their area is 48 square units, or 48 units squared. Either way is correct. Okay? You can either write out square units, or you can do units with the little 2. All right, for number 2, it says find the area of the parallelogram. Again, This time they actually give me numbers, but they give me 3 numbers. I only use 2 of the numbers, so make sure you're looking and figuring out which numbers you actually do need. So looking at this, right, they gave me 11 with this drop-down triangle, 20, and 13, which is the length of one side. Okay. Now if I were finding the perimeter of a parallelogram, I would need that 13. But I'm only finding the area, so I need the height, which is perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular means a straight line that forms a 90-degree angle. So I'm looking for that little square sign. Okay? So my base is 20, and my height's perpendicular from that, which is 11. So 20 times 11 gives me the height and base of my triangle. So I multiply them together, I get 220. My units are centimeters, so the area is 220 square centimeters, or 220 centimeters squared. All right, if I'm asked to find a missing dimension in a parallelogram, so maybe I'm given the area and I'm asked to find the base, or I'm asked to find the height. Okay, so if they're usually going to give you the area and either the base or the height, you have to find the other one. Okay? A blank is the equation that shows a relationship among certain quantities. To find missing dimensions, use the formula for the area of a parallelogram, replace the variables with the known measurements, then solve the equation for the remaining variable. In that blank, you're going to write formula. So a formula is an equation that shows a relationship among certain quantities, and to find the missing dimensions, I use this formula for the area of a parallelogram. So we know that the formula for the area of a parallelogram is A equals B times H, which is area equals base times height. Okay? So let's take a look at example. Example number 3 says find the missing dimension of the parallelogram. So they gave me my parallelogram here. It has 9, there's my triangle, and 45 inches squared. So I know my area is 45 inches squared. Okay? I need to find, I have my base, which is 9. That's one of the lengths of my sides. Okay? And I'm missing a height. Okay, so now I need to figure out, I'm going to substitute them into my formula. 45 equals 9 times h, because I'm missing my height. H stands for height. I divide 9 from both sides, and I get 45 divided by 9, which equals 5. So my height is 5 inches. All right, let's take a look at example number 4. Ramala is painting a replica of the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago for a research project. Find the area of the black stripe. So, looking at this, I'm asked to find the area. Okay? They gave me a height here of 12. That's one of the triangles. And the base of my black stripe is 6 3/4 inches. Okay? So they actually gave me both my height and my base for the black stripe. I just want to find the area of the black stripe, not the whole flag. Okay? The black stripe is shaped like a parallelogram. You can see I have 2 opposite parallel sides. So I use the formula A equals B times H. Well, I don't know my area, that's what I'm figuring out. My base is 6 3/4, and my height is 12. So I multiply 6 3/4 times 12. When I do that, I can change 6 3/4 to an improper fraction by multiplying 4 times 6 plus 3, which gives me 27/4, and I multiply that times 12, and I get 81. So the area of the flag that is black, is 81 square inches. All right, there are a couple of try problems out below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problems, let's go over the answers together. So, for letter A, I'm asked to find the area of the parallelogram. I have 7.7 meters and 2 meters given to me. Okay, I can see that 2 meters is my height, because again, I'm looking for that little square sign that tells me it's a 90-degree angle, and 7.7 is my base. So I multiply these together. A equals 7.7 times 2. When I do this, my area is 15.4. And it's meters squared. Make sure you include your units, okay? You lose points if you don't include your units. Letter B says find the missing dimension of the parallelogram if it has an area of 36 square inches with a height of 6 inches. So I'm going to draw my parallelogram. Okay, so here's my parallelogram. It's not perfect. Okay, so my area is 36 inches squared, and my height is 6 inches. Okay, so I'm missing my base. So my formula is A equals B times H. My area is 36. I'm missing my B. My height is 6. I divide both sides by 6. 36 divided by 6 is 6. So B is 6. So my base is 6 inches. And that is the end of Chapter 9, Lesson 1.